Welcome to episode number 83 of Hip Talk Fanatics. I am here with David to talk about St. John's and how the team is doing and everything St. John's. So, welcome.
What's going on, Alex? Thank you for having me.
Yep, no problem. Thanks for coming on. So, my first question is what are your overall thoughts on the past couple games St. John's played?
Well, I think St. John's is starting to hit their stride. They took two really tough losses in the Bahamas when they lost in double overtime to Baylor. And then they went on to beat Virginia and then lost by 3 points to Georgia 2 days after that loss to Baylor. And, when you suffer losses like that, it's kind of hard to regroup. You start getting down on yourself. And St. John's has done a pretty good job of that. They were able to, really beat Kansas State. That was their next really big opponent. They took care of their non-conference schedule since then. So, with DePaul coming up next and their, Big East play right around the corner, St. John's is kind of right of the ship. They're 8-2. I think everybody's talking about them as being a top 3 team in the conference right now. And you got to be pretty happy overall. Do you wish you got that Baylor win? Do you wish you beat Georgia? Yeah, of course. And that was definitely some missed opportunities, but overall, St. John's is in a pretty decent spot.
What are your thoughts on Kadari Richmond and RJ Lewis?
So Kadari was obviously the big, prized possession of the transfer portal. He was the guy that everybody was after. St. John's knew that they kind of had the inside track because he wanted to stay home. He wanted to be local. When he decided to make his high school decision, he first chose to play at Syracuse. Then he stayed local and stayed at Seton Hall. So being close to family was important to him. So St. John's had the leg up there. Kadari has probably not played up to everybody's expectations so far as he's trying to learn how to really acclimate himself to having so many other guys that can help him out. When he was at Seton Hall, it was just him and Dre Davis, really. When you have so many talented guys that can take the load off from not just the ball handling perspective like Davon Smith can do for him or Simeon Wilcher, but also scoring wise like RJ Lewis and Zuby Ejiofor, Aaron Scott, these kinds of guys, it takes time to adjust when you're always been the man with the ball. So I think that he's doing a lot right now in other areas. He's still rebounding the ball really well. He is getting his assists and he's scoring at about, 11, 12 points a game. I think you want to see that probably closer to 15, 16. And there's been a few games like that. But so far, I think that he hasn't played up to his full potential consistently. But we have seen him impact the game when necessary, and when you need a bucket, he could still go get it. As far as RJ Lewis, in my opinion, RJ Lewis is playing like a pro. I think he's a future NBA player. I think that right now he is the best player on the team. He is the most consistent scorer on the team, and he is healthy, which is the biggest key this year. He had surgery on both of his shins in the offseason. He's healthy now. He's playing like it, and I think that he's going to be somebody that we are likely going to be seeing at the next level.
My next question is, I know St. John's has a big one tomorrow night against DePaul. What are your thoughts on that matchup? And do you think DePaul has the chance to make it tight?
It's nice to finally be talking about DePaul as not the bottom feeder of the Big East. DePaul is a legit team. They took Wichita State to the woodshed the other day. Was really impressive. This team has an identity, which is something that we haven't been able to say about DePaul in many, many years. So kudos to Chris Holman, who has completely revitalized and revamped that program, that roster. So that's really nice. They have a team that's one of the best shooting teams in the country from 3. They let it fly. They get off that bus and they start jacking it up. It is impressive, and they could hit it at a really, really nice clip. Do I think they can keep it close? Yeah, for a little bit. But the things that St. John's does well are the things that DePaul does struggle in. Now, DePaul can shoot it well, but they do not play good defense, in my opinion. They also do not have a lot of interior presence. So a guy like Zuby Ejiofor, I think, could have a really strong game. I think that if St. John's can guard that perimeter and make sure that DePaul doesn't get too comfortable hitting those threes, that they can just run, and that should probably take them out of the game. But this is a tough DePaul team because that shooting, when you can hit the three at such a high clip, and if you can be so consistent, when you have 3 or 4 guys on the floor that can hit that three so often, it really neutralizes a lot of the abilities to play carefree for St. John's. If you start to make a few mistakes and the ball gets turned over and they hit a three in transition and you do it again, and all of a sudden they can go on a 9-0 run in a blink of an eye, that's where the danger zone comes in. So St. John's has to really be keying in on their transition defense, that they really have to guard the perimeter.
I know that St. John's has Providence 5 days before Christmas, and I know that game is a big one for them on Fox at prime time. And what are your thoughts on that one?
So I'll be going to that game. I'm going to take the drive over down to Providence. Very excited to go to the AMP, aka the Dunk. Always a great atmosphere. That's going to be the first true road game for St. John's this year, which is crazy to say as we get close to Christmas, but it's true. Providence obviously struggling this year. Bryce Hopkins is not playing at 100%. That's a big storyline right now. And I think Providence has an identity crisis. I just said that DePaul has an identity. They really know what they are as a team. Providence, in my opinion, they don't really know who they are without Bryce Hopkins. And Bryce has played 3 games so far. He just missed another one, though. And I think that they're really struggling to figure out what kind of team that they are. I think St. John's will be a pretty decent favorite in that, even on the road. And I think that they should get the win there, start Big East play 2-0.
How are you feeling about the Big East as a whole?
The Big East is down. We've been talking about it since literally day one of the season. So many teams have struggled to start. Seton Hall is playing just really poorly, and it doesn't seem to get better. It seems like they're already out of any kind of postseason conversation, and we're in the second week of December. Butler took a pretty bad quad 3, quad 4 loss early on. Villanova did the same when they lost a few, but they're starting to turn it around. When the conference is doing that, it leaves no margin for error in regards to saying in the past, hey, we could just beat up on ourselves in the conference, get to 12 wins, and you're in the tournament. This year, because teams pretty much from the 4th spot on are struggling right now, so you got 7 teams that are struggling pretty much as far as metrics go, those wins don't become as valuable anymore. So you need these teams to start really picking it up over the next week or two and then become strong teams in the Big East conference play. Right now, I think that this is just a 4-bid league, which is unfortunate, especially after last year. We thought that we could turn it around and probably be a 6, maybe 7-bid league, and that's absolutely not looking like the case. It looks like 4 max right now.
I forget who they start next month, the new year with. But what are your thoughts on St. John's starting off the new year against the opponents that they have?
Yeah, so they excuse me, they end the year with Creighton on the road in Creighton. Now Creighton just lost Pop Isaacs, which he was so good up until his injury. He was such an important scoring piece next to Ryan Kalkbrenner, next to Stephen Ashworth. So that, in my opinion, all of a sudden becomes a game that St. John's can go on the road and possibly steal. And that's not something that you usually can say when you go to Omaha. And then they start the year on January 4th against Butler. That's at home. Now, why is that game important? That game is the day before what would have been Lou Carnesecca's 100th birthday. That was supposed to be the game that St. John's was honoring Lou. Unfortunately, he passed away a few weekends ago, but that game still is going to be about Lou. So lots of remembrance, lots of juice, and I think that's going to be an important one to take on Butler. There's a good chance, if you start looking at this, if things go the way that I see, they should be able to start Big East play 5-0 if they can get that win in Creighton.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for taking the time to come on, and I was glad to have you on talking St. John's, and hope to have you back on soon.
All right, Alex. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.